Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Solo ReacTalk. Happy New Year as well for 2025. Today, I'm going to be reacting to Star Wars vs. Warhammer 40K, created on the AFanWithTooMuchTime YouTube channel. The links are going to be in the description below for the YouTube channel, as well as today's episode called Star Wars vs. Warhammer 40K, Episode 41, Mortal Precipices. Yes, Mortal Precipices Part 3. Yeah. So remember, if you want to check out my previous reaction to the other episodes, the playlist card is going to be at the top right here. Right. Now, Mortal Precipices Part 2. Javona somehow, by the hand of her god, the Tyranids, or by some luck, I'm not sure how, but she survived what should have been fatal. She survived. Samuel destroyed Balthazar. Samuel was about to kill Javona, but by a stroke of luck, or maybe love, Convia came in, in between the bullet that was meant for her, and he took the shot, and he died, but she survived. The second shot coming from Samuel was, I think it was deflected by, I think it was Mace Windu, or was it Obi-Wan Kenobi? I'm not sure between the two who stopped that second chance at destroying Javona, but she made it. Call it luck, call it the will of the gods, I don't know, I don't care. She made it. Somehow she made it. And now she's ran away, she's escaped that entire situation, and now we're just going to be seeing, the results of such actions by the Jedi. They've done something unbelievable. But of course, they don't know what Javona is. They don't know what type of threat they're dealing with when it comes to the Gene Stealer cult. So it's understandable. It's just frustrating. It's just very frustrating. And also, Balthazar was attacking a Imperium of Man medical camp led by Sister Maria. Yes, Sister Maria with her battle sisters who are helping, those who are, recuperating from battle. And we also had Canoness Ishtar, who was also in one of those camp tents. She was on the verge of death, and the other sisters tried to, do something, get something so that she could survive, so that she could continue. But Sister Maria had already accepted that, she has fought long enough and she's going to be by the Emperor's side. But before she could, take her last breaths on this planet called Axum, Balthazar, came in there. He started killing people. He also attacked Reyna Ordain, and Reyna Ordain was also wounded, but she fought against Balthazar. She got stabbed with a lightsaber into her stomach, so she's badly injured. But before, the final blow could be brought upon Reyna Ordain, the Canoness stood up. She used a flamethrower, and she began to fire against Balthazar. Somehow Balthazar survived that, but of course he did not survive against Samuel. So he's dead. Balthazar is dead. The Canoness Superior Ishtar is up. She's walking by the will of the Emperor. She is going to be doing his bidding. I don't know what is she going to do on the battlefield, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Because she's at the verge of death. She's at death's door. But someone is keeping her alive. And of course we know, it's the Emperor. So, yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see what Ishtar does, in her final moments. Okay, let us continue with part 3 of Mortal Precipices. Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
Samael was fracked. He ducked his head to the right, saber sliding through the air where he had been, a bar of blinding light making his dark eyes useless for a couple of seconds. His tongue trailed his upper lip, tasting sweat, stimuli he did not want or need right then, registering it all the same. Eyes blinking.
So, we're continuing the fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mace Windu, and Samael. Okay.
Still blinded by the purple blade, he was forced to predict, anticipate, veering left and slamming down with his gun-bearing hand. He caught something, a forearm in the midst of a powerful punch, unnaturally strong, bringing it down from his neck where it nearly crushed his throat. Instead, it struck the plates where his ribs had once been so long ago.
Luckily, he has some sort of augmentations, in his body. But man, who's punching him? Is it Mace Windu? Wow.
Fracturing them, throwing him back as he moved with the force of the blow. Completely fracked. He was completely fracked. But it wasn't the first time. Ultanis, the craft world, that horrific week in the dark arenas, and that one time with the Orc Commando. Samael had been fracked before. Now he just needed to unfrack himself, and fast. He rolled as he hit the ground, coming up to his feet, eyes blinking rapidly, trying desperately to rid himself of the after images of those lightsabers, and relying on his ears this time instead. He called up the taint, that power within him that was at once divine and hated.
The taint? What's that?
The inheritance of the Emperor and of mankind. He used it to help him sense, combining it with his hearing to slide to the left and raise his blade into the air. Clash! Burning sparks raining over his face as two sabers, one blue, one amethyst, slammed down against the pale white of his Solex Aegis energy blade. He kicked, using the moment to attempt an offensive, trying to drive at least one of them into defense. It didn't fracking work. A leg meeting his with the same force, shins painfully colliding, though from whom he could not tell.
I mean, you're dealing with the two most deadliest combo in Jedi history, I think. You're dealing with the deadliest combo, Mace Windu with his, how should I say, his forward attacking mindset. Mace Windu. And then you also have Obi-Wan Kenobi with his stalwart defense. You're just dealing with very difficult people here. One who's just going to be relentless in attacking you. The other one is going to be relentless in parrying any form of attack that you might want to initiate, while the other one attacks you at the same time. Yeah, these two, it's a deadly combo.
But he knew who palmed him in the gut, throwing him even further, feeling the internal bleeding begin before staunching automatically. His eyes were clear now, clear enough to see the two Jedi advancing on him ruthlessly. That was good. He needed his eyes to make these shots. His hand rattled, but he did not budge his aim, firing at them both. Mace Windu ducked the shot, a specter of violence and death, that one. The other, Obi-Wan, Samael guessed from his appearance, chose to block with his saber instead, grunting as molten lead spattered his nice robes. 3 shots left, the last one being the most important. The last one being the one he needed to get off perfectly. Mace came in, not waiting for his companion to recover, and for a few heartbeats, it was just them in a pure contest. And Samael was reminded again. Reminded that he was completely fracked. The man fought like an Eldari warlock using a power sword, but with none of the pomp or arrogance, clearly having been chastened in this battle into pure seriousness. His blade came down like a thunderhammer's head, Samael struggling to not buckle under it as he caught the lightsaber on his own blade of radiant light. Every intercept a heart-skipping moment, the not quite Astartes knowing full well that his sword had a sorry habit of flickering at inopportune moments.
That is not good. That is not good. Flickering?
It held strong this time, reflecting the blade, creating more sparks as the Jedi punched him with the equivalent of a power fist.
Maybe the blade has some sort of mood swings. Or it senses that this is a true challenge and I need to, keep myself stable. Yeah.
Damned Jedi was a sight more lethal than anything before him, and Samael grunted as the fist drove into his gut again, shooting him back for a third time, heels scraping the hard, dusty ground of the inner wall.
Damn, Mace Windu, I didn't know this was possible from you. I didn't know that you could throw hands like this. Wow. Huh. You definitely are a different type of Jedi.
His stomach was fracked. He'd be taking sustenance in through a needle for at least a few days after this, if he even lived through this at all. But there was no mercy from the Jedi. Not that he expected any, not at this point. Samael stumbled and curled into a ball, using the warp's mind-issued propulsion to roll back a couple more feet before springing wide open and firing out a wave of invisible force, trying to telekinetically drive them back.
You're a psyker? Is it only now that I noticed that he's a psyker, or was this discussed before? I can't remember. Oh, okay, but anyways, okay, interesting.
The other master had joined General Windu once more, and Samael fired again as they both braced against the wave of his power. But they seemed ready for it, halting but not budging, Mace Windu snapping out an eldritch hand to snatch the shot out of the air right before Obi-Wan's face. Thrown, damn it, the assailed agent thought to himself. They really weren't giving him any openings. But Samael reckoned he was closer to the broken down exitway than he had been before, which was good. Damn good. Because there was no way in frack he was going to survive this without some help. And that was where his last shot came in. Just one more to spend before it was in the chamber. Surrender! We will take you alive! You will be treated fairly!
He can't surrender. He cannot surrender. He must fight until he dies or he escapes, but he cannot surrender. If he surrenders, he's a traitor. And the Imperium of Man does not take kindly to traitors. He'll be shot.
The one called Obi-Wan said, alerting Samael to just how pathetic he must look before them. The warrior grinned, some blood sliding from his lips, coagulating fast even before the stream could reach his chin. Samael spat the hardened red out from his mouth, both masters grimacing at the sight. This really was a different galaxy altogether. These warriors were strong, but still so soft. That is kind of you. Samael grunted, attempting to stand up straight, agony bleeding from his chest and stomach. But that is not an option for a man in my position. Throne, damn it. You can punch hard now, can't you? It's like being on the wrong end of a power fist. Samael said, slowly backing away, weaving his blade threatening in the gap between them. This is your last chance. If you do not surrender now, I will end you, said General Mace Windu, and Samael nodded. You do what you have to do. I will as well. Truly, I did not wish to fight you, General Windu. My battle isn't with your republic, strictly speaking. But it is out of the question for me to surrender. Completely impossible, in fact.
Yep.
He said, taking another step back. Windu jerked, starting to move forward, but Obi-Wan held him back, grasping the shoulder of his robe with his free hand. Wait, what do you mean by that? Explain yourself. Are you not an Imperial? Are you not a Space Marine?
No. He is an Imperial, but he's not a Space Marine.
Asked, and Samael felt his grin grow wider, tombstone teeth on full display. Almost, Master Kenobi, but not quite. I am a hunter, and that woman you saved, she was my prey. If you just let me end her, then we wouldn't even need to fight. Samael explained.
You gotta further explain to them, Samael. Tell them in detail, what is she? What type of threat is she to the galaxy. You know, it just takes one. It just takes one.
Enough, said Mace, glaring with an intensity that was impressive even by Samael's standards. As if we would allow you to slaughter a helpless girl. He finished, and Samael laughed. Throne be damned. You have no idea whatsoever. No idea at all. If you think that thing was helpless, she'll destroy us all. Imperium, Republic, and the entire galaxy around us.
Yep,
said Samael. I said enough. I won't believe another word you speak. You will
use the Force, Wendu. Use the Force. Search your feelings, and you will know that what he says is true.
You're a liar, an infiltrator, and I've heard enough, said the dark-skinned master of the Jedi. Samael nodded, aiming his gun towards him, his saber out and tightly gripped. Fair enough, General. Fair enough, he said, legs bending, crouching, preparing to absorb the force that would soon be on him. And then, it was, the two Jedi becoming blurs of movement. Samael had some strength in the warp, but nothing like these two. Remembering some of the training his brother had deigned to teach him, he grit his blood-crusted teeth and drew in that power, becoming a stationary blur as he did, just before the clash. The Jedi shot forward, and he fired back.
Okay, so Samael is like a hunter, alright? Let me write this down here. So, we're getting to know a bit more about you, Samael. I still think you're like a spy, but also a hunter. Hunter/spy, yeah. With psyker abilities. Not very strong, but they're there. They're substantial. Okay.
His final shot before the last being entirely avoided by the two, his blade-bearing hand moving in a frenzy to parry both of the blades of light which sought him. Sparks again, the screaming of energy meeting energy, and both Jedi need him in the guts, moving in a practiced synchronicity and giving him another excuse to move back, but this time they did not relent. Blades swung back and up and back again, and it was all he could do to keep pace. His enhanced senses and vague, warp-bolstered awareness saving him again and again as he backtracked from them, slashing and slamming his Solex against their lightsabers.
Don't you have like a smoke screen type of bomb or something? Oh well.
He was driven out of the passageway and into the greater battle beyond, death and war waging all around him, the sun's light blackened to nearly nothing by the clouds, and columns of smoke which dominated the sky, wherever Republic ships did not. He was forced again and again to prioritize parries and blocks, chemical sweat flying off him as he vibrated with power. Teeth grit tightly together as veins became visible on and around the sides of his head. He couldn't hold this technique for very long. The unnatural warping he was wrapping himself in, seeking to shake and tear him apart almost as doggedly as the Jedi it was defending him from. He swept his white Solex up and around, catching their sabers, driving them up as he spun, extending his gun-bearing fist out to backhand Mace Windu, catching the man hard in the face and forcing him back before Master Kenobi returned the favor with an acrobatic twist, kicking Samael across the jaw, almost dazing him as lights bloomed in his eyes.
Don't die, Samael. Don't die.
Samael gave a serious thought to surrendering then. The battle was going badly, and
don't surrender, Samael. Don't. If you do, you are dead. You know this. As an Imperium of Man soldier, and if you surrender to a Xeno force or to heretics, you will be killed. Don't do it. You must fight. Or escape and return to the Basilica if possible. But don't surrender.
Not just for himself. He recovered thanks to muscle memory, backing up as he slapped away the blue blade which followed him, able to see the carnage intensifying all around him. They would be overrun in minutes at this rate. He'd surrendered before, always with the intention of fighting himself free again, but a false surrender was as viable a tactic as any in his mind.
Okay, as long as the Imperium of Man forces don't, realize that you have surrendered, then if you're able to surrender and somehow escape, try it. Let's see how far your luck will get you.
However, he would not demean himself such, not until he had made his last shot, and now that he was out in the open, he could. Wait! Samael bellowed, and to his mild surprise, they did, backing off for a moment as he slouched, coughed more blood, half of it solid, half of it not. Changed your mind? Asked Master Obi-Wan, but Samael shook his head, aiming his gun first at him and then into the air, straight over his own head. Nah. He groaned, firing his last shot skyward and tossing his pistol away, grasping his blade with both hands now. The final shot was not like the others, rocketing up and glowing a pulsating red, revealing itself to be some kind of technical flare. I just wanted to let you know, Samael said, grinning through red teeth, that you now have 60 seconds to finish this fight. He explained. Or what? Asked Master Windu.
Those seconds are ticking by right now as he's talking to you? Yeah, Samael is good. He's really good.
Wait 60 more seconds and find out, said Samael, grunting a moment later as both Jedi rushed him again. His flare was out. Heck was coming. But could he last that much time? He figured having both hands on his sword would help, though his blurred form began to come back into focus, his stamina unable to retain that power for much longer. Another screeching clash, Obi-Wan driving in almost like a fencer, while Mace Windu savaged him with wide, powerful strikes, one hand always free and waiting for an opening. Samael met them with more strength than finesse, catching their lightsabers and reversing their momentums with raw power. Hissing as he jerked his head to the right, his face narrowly swerving to the side of another warp-wreathed fist which cut a furrow under his left eye and over his cheek. He wondered, truly, if they would actually manage to kill him before help could arrive.
I mean, it's possible. It's really possible. These two are very dangerous, individually. But when they are together, oi.
Though even if he could not hold out, even if they did kill him, that would not stop what was now about to happen. Hecate's third face was turned, and she was coming. And Throne helped them all if Samael was not able to turn that face again when all was said and done.
Oh, ominous. That's Shadrick's real first name, Jonathan. Ah. Ah. So, we're dealing with Commissar Shadrick. Jonathan Shadrick. Okay, Jonathan.
Shadrick ducked his head, spitting in anger as a bright lance of heat tore through his tall hat, forcing the man to throw it off as it caught fire. Traitors! He yelled, spinning and firing his own last pistol back the way the shot had come. All around him, his loyal soldiers were forming up to create a wall between the Commissar Captain and the ambushing force of Cadians and Calambians who had sprung out from the adjoining walls to assail him. Many minutes ago, shortly after exiting the armory, the Commissar Captain had been confronted by 12 men, 12 Vastillan irregulars who had demanded he halt his progress. They had even implied that he was under arrest by order of Saint Lazarus. The Commissar Captain had only laughed bitterly at their pronouncements, snapping his fingers and silently sending the signal for his men to gun them down. It had been such an easy thing for him, his forces far outnumbering the foolhardy 12 who had chosen to intervene in his duty.
Okay, Saint Lazarus is a saint. Tarweiler is an inquisitor, right? Now, who has the ultimate authority in this type of situation, where you have a saint on one side and then you have the inquisitor on the other side? Because Commissar Jonathan Shadrach is following the orders of the inquisitor, Tarweiler. Now, Saint Lazarus has ordered for the arrest of Jonathan Shadrach, for him to surrender. Who has the last word in this type of situation? That's what I want to know. How far does a saint's authority and power go? How close is he or she to, the Inquisition, for instance, or any other department of the Imperium of Man? If you've been ordained as a saint by the Canoness Superior of the Sisters of Battle, how far does your power go? Because ultimately Shadrach is in the right of it. Yes, I may not like him as a character. I think he's a spineless weasel, but he is, following his, the laws, the military code that is expected of him as a commissar. He is following the law. The Imperium of Man Inquisition is one of the highest bodies within the government, and Commissar Captain Shadrach is just a commissar. He's just a commissar. He doesn't have the political clout within his own position or office to do as he pleases, especially if a Imperium of Man Inquisition agent orders him to do something. He cannot defy that order. So he's in the right of it. And that's why I'm asking myself, who has the last word between a saint and an inquisitor?
Now, he was starting to truly realize they had only been one squad of a quickly converging force. And the next time he met with these men, they had not stopped for a chat or exposed themselves in the folly of good faith. His own guards fought like Kriegers, for they knew they were dead one way or another. They fought under no false pretenses, not that Shadrach would need one. His stormtroopers were mimetically branded to loyalty, already accepting that their lives would be composed of no families, no friends, no descendants. Only duty and dedication to that duty. And thanks to his contacts in the Inquisition, that duty was entirely to him. They were just as willing to die staving off these interlopers and traitors as they were to die peacefully in the exterminatus that was to come. Of course, Shadrach would not join them. The long, beeping teleporter beacon he wore slung over his left shoulder would assure that. And that was as it should be. After all, Shadrach was not some replaceable foot soldier. He was a commander, a leader born to bring victory to the Imperium.
Everybody in the Imperium of Man is replaceable, including you, Shadrach. If you're part of the Imperial Guard, if you're part of any structure of the military, you are replaceable. No one is untouchable. Unless if you are the Emperor or a Primarch, then maybe there's something there that, that would prevent someone as special as you to keep fighting, to keep alive. But you're just a commissar, a captain, a commissar captain, and no, it just doesn't work that way with you. You're not that special.
Those were his thoughts as he watched his people falling like scythed wheat, dying to buy him time at a great cost. In fact, the cost was obviously steeper for his own soldiers than it was for those attacking him, throwing their lives away too cheaply in his opinion. But he could not argue with the effects. Few of the enemy fell, but they were all held back by their sacrifice, and with that, he was satisfied. He and those who remained to escort him ran up the tall, vaulted passageways of the inner sanctum of the basilica, tech adepts kneeling ahead where they had rushed to, using powerful Mechanicus data interrogators to hack their way past the barring gates and other defenses. Red painted across brilliant gold more and more as the other guardsmen drilled up towards him, the commissar firing over the heads of those men who comprised the last bulwark, keeping the enemy from their leader. "Don't let them through!" he barked at their backs. "Force them back, even if it means your own death. The Emperor demands only that you die well," he continued to say as the wide, embossed gates leading into the final chamber began to creak and swing open. Still firing, he entered the room while walking backwards, hair scorched and smoking, burns glowing across the carapace he wore under his now ruined red uniform. He spun around to face the tech adepts once he was inside. "Shut these doors! Do it now!" He started to order before his eyes grew wide, seeing what awaited him. The room was enormous and circular, built around a gargantuan altar composed of gold, adamantium, and priceless auramite filigree. The pillars were caked in depictions of sword-bearing angels, many wearing the recognizable armors of the Adeptus Astartes, themselves being depicted fighting and dying, stabbing downward with their weapons into the faces of silver daemons and their own heretical cousins.
What is this place? Wow. Oh, Kubik, well done.
Above the battling angels, depictions of the sisters themselves stood, eyes upturned towards idols of the saints of their order.
Wait, what's that in the middle? It's got some sort of green vial inside there. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Mouths open in frozen song, hands raised above their heads or held to their chests in prayer. And the saints, each one, some men but mostly women, held aloft blazing swords, depictions of priceless relics belonging to ancient times, the weapons aimed up and inwards towards one final towering depiction.
I like how the Emperor is on his throne and then his sword is pointing down at that green vial. Wait, is that the Exterminatus weapon? Wow. You keep it in such a ornate, place where the statues and... I thought this was like a church. I thought this was a church area where people come and, pray to the God Emperor. But no, this is where they keep their most powerful weapon, it would seem. Yeah, alright.
A statue so enormous, it must have filled the entire central spire of the basilica itself. Gem eyes looked up towards it, appealing to it for blessings, golden lips vowing silent praise to its glory. There, atop it all and in the center, sat the Emperor, supreme and mighty upon his golden throne. Eyes of auramite staring down in pitiless judgment.
Wait, that's real auramite? I mean, why use it for a statue of the Emperor? You could have used it for armor plating for important members of the Imperium of Man, or, I don't know, a tank. Some sort of heavy mechanized unit. An Imperial Knight with auramite armor. But instead you're using it for the statue of the God Emperor? Man, these guys, unbelievable.
The master of mankind sat with both hands resting on the pommel of his long, down-facing sword, itself alone larger than any of the other statues, save the Emperor himself. The great weapon pierced far, far down, passing the saints and angels, its tip visible in the open center of the altar. And there, hanging from the sharpened end of their god's instrument of death, was the true weapon. The bulbous, enormous shape of a virus bomb. It contained within it thousands of pounds of pure, dormant death.
This is beautiful. Well done, Kubik. Well done. Well done. Look at this. Wow.
Ready to be unleashed when his final judgment was called upon. Ready to grant the Emperor's mercy to an entire world. Beneath the Exterminatus-level weapon was no coffin or central dais, but rather a vast, yawning pit that the sisters had drilled down all the way to the lowest levels of the planet-sized city that they could reach, ensuring the weapon's absolute effectiveness upon being dropped and detonated.
Wow, I thought you could just, just let it explode on the surface right here and the virus bomb would just spread its contents throughout the entire planet and everybody's just going to turn into mush and die. I thought it would be that easy, but you have to actually reach ground zero of the planet for it to have a maximum effect. Interesting. Okay. But this is amazing.
But it was not the majesty of the altar's size that stunned the Commissar into silence, nor was it the lethal, ancient form of the world-ending bomb which hung at its center.
It isn't? I would be stunned. I would be gobsmacked, just looking at all of this. But I guess that's not enough for Commissar Shadrach. So what is making him stunned,
Not even the depiction of the Emperor was enough to give Shadrach such pause. It was the small army of soldiers who surrounded it, and their many, many aimed weapons that held him in place. On one side, the helmed heads and camo-painted faces of the Cadian Guard. Kneeling behind cover, aiming long-last guns from high alcoves they had climbed into, and grimacing from the shadows of demonic statues, ready to fire in a moment's notice. On the other side, an equal force of undauntable Krieg corpsmen, arrayed in rank and file, one line kneeling, one line standing, all men aiming their high-powered las rifles in one single direction, his. And between them was their obvious commander, standing before the altar with a retinue of his own people composed mostly of Cadians and a single, one-armed Krieger. "It's over,
Hey, 1313.
Commissar," said the dark-skinned man, amethyst eyes staring Shadrach down. "Lay down your weapons and submit to arrest by order of Saint Lazarus," ordered Captain Stern. The Commissar's remaining troops were dwarfed by the assembled mass of soldiers, but they still did not lower their weapons or flinch away, though they did hold their fire, waiting for their leader's command. Shadrach felt lines being drawn across his face, like gouges of hatred carving into his cheeks and forehead. "Your Saint Lazarus is nothing more than a sergeant! He has no authority over me!" The Commissar spat, to little effect.
That's why I'm still trying to ascertain who has the last word in these types of situations. In the uplifting primer that I've been reading, what is it called again? Sorry guys. I just want to get the full name. I can't just say uplifting primer because I know what that means. You probably don't know what that means. But let me see. Let me get it here. Yes, in the Imperial Infantry uplifting primer. Yes, I have not seen anything that relates to saints. I haven't seen anything that relates to saints. I've seen what relates to the command structures of the Imperial Guard. I've seen, in terms of the responsibilities of a commissar and, the other factions of the Imperium of Man. But when it comes to the religious aspects of saints, I haven't seen anything like that. So I'm not sure. who has the last word in these types of situations? Is it a saint or is it an inquisitor? Who are the men to follow in these types of situations?
Be that as it may, you were also ordered to vacate the Basilica by the Holy Lady Ordain herself, and yet you are still here. If for no other reason, I must insist because of that. Stern said back, voice calm, his own weapon lowered, while the Commissar held his out in a nearly trembling fist. You may have been correct before, but I am now working under a higher authority than that of the Canoness. Shadrick said, grinding his teeth as he tried to recover his composure.
I may not like him, but he is telling the truth here. He is in the right. He is in the right. Okay, I may not like Shadrach, but he is in the right. And this is a problem now.
A higher authority? Stern asked with a raised eyebrow. The Emperor's Holy Inquisition! The cornered Commissar barked. The declaration sent ripples through the Cadians, though their masked counterparts showed no reaction at all. I am here under direct orders of the Emperor's word, and I have been instructed to initiate the final salvation of this place and proclaim exterminatus before this basilica falls to the enemy. He continued. You expect me to believe the Inquisition would order that? While reinforcements are on the way? While the fight still rages outside, undecided? Stern voiced in open disgust. Open your eyes, Captain Stern! This planet is lost! There are no reinforcements coming, and while the battle is still waged, the enemy is all but assured victory! Shadrick contested. But we can turn that victory to ashes in their throats! He declared, seeming to address not only Stern, but every single one of the soldiers within the chamber.
Captain Stern, you should be asking for proof if these are direct orders from an Inquisitor. Where's the proof?
And turn us into ashes as well. You do not have the authority to initiate final salvation. Lay down your arms and surrender. Stern ordered, his face tightening. I may not, the Commissar said. But the Inquisition does, and as I have said, I am here under their orders. We must all bow before the word of the Emperor, even if it means our deaths, he announced.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Like I said, I don't like him, but he's not wrong in anything that he's saying right now. I can find no fault. Really, I can find no fault. That's why I'm saying maybe Captain Stern, you need to ask, I need proof. You can't just come here and tell me these things when you are pinned down with guns pointed at you. You might be saying this out of desperation. Therefore, I need proof that it was an Inquisitor who ordered you to do all of these things. Yeah.
But not your death, correct? Stern shot back, frustration tainting his expression.
Yeah, not his death. The Inquisitor Tarweiler has made sure that he would teleport away before the impending doom of this planet. Yeah.
That device you have on your shoulder is a teleportation beacon. Do you deny it? He asked, and to that, Shadrick had nothing to say. Why would the Inquisition choose to rescue you from this, in place of, let's say, the Canoness herself, or one of the Majors, or even Saint Lazarus?
Because he wants this extreme loss to galvanize the Imperium of Man forces in the Star Wars galaxy. He wants something like this to inspire, a uniting effort of all the forces that have been brought into this galaxy. That's the madness of Tarweiler.
What makes you so special?
Nothing really. Nothing. It's just a bargaining, little trinket. Exchange your life. Well, not really exchange your life, but to save your life, you must destroy this entire planet. Tawila will say yes, because he's a weasel. He's a weasel. But he's following orders.
The captain challenged. The canoness is an old, dying woman. She is no good to anyone, and would likely not even survive the trip, shouted Shadrick, voice echoing in the truly cavernous room. The other majors are dead, captured or trapped outside the basilica. They could not be reached anyway. And Saint Lazarus. Why would the Inquisition salvage a worthless Calambian sergeant who could not even effectively lead a countercharge against the enemy lines without massive casualties? It should be obvious why I was chosen. And even if it is not, it is their choice, their word, their judgment, which concerns me, not yours, the scuffed commissar proclaimed. There was a silence then, soldiers shifting in their places, gloves tightening and squeaking around handles and closing around triggers, but not yet firing. Stern rubbed his chin and then nodded. Perhaps you are right, Commissar, he said at length. But you'll forgive me, he added before Shadrick could so much as sigh, if I do not take you at your murderous word. If the Inquisition sanctioned this, then I will need some proof.
Exactly, yes.
So why don't we all just relax for a time and get in contact with them? I'm sure they will verify your orders, and if they do, then so be it, said Stern. Shadrick gnashed his teeth, a vein of raw fury visible on his face. He would not be stopped, not be stalled, not by some upstart sergeant or a meager Cadian captain. He looked around the room again, and slowly, a spiteful grin spread across his face as a stark realization struck him. Yes, we could do that, said Shadrick. But I think I have an even better idea. I'll give you one more chance, Captain Stern. Get out of my way. Make no further attempts to stop me. That is a direct order. Stern crossed his arms, fixing Shadrick with a deep-seated glare. I do not take orders from you, Shadrick, the man said, cracking his neck with a turn of his head. So, no, he stated with an air of deep finality. Shadrick's grin flared deep before he coughed,
Shadrick, what are you planning here?
Clearing his throat and raising his voice. I am Commissar Captain Jonathan Shadrick. Captain Stern has overreached his authority and is defying a direct order from his superior. He is in violation of the Imperial Creed and the Adeptus Munitorum Code of Conduct and Honor. As such, as of this moment, I am initiating General Order 99. Any who remain loyal to your organization must abide it and detain former Captain Stern and his accomplices to await summary judgment.
But you see now, this is another problem. This is another problem. How far does the authority of this saint go? You know, Saint Lazarus. How far does his authority go? And in conjunction with the Canoness Superior and her authority, against the authority of the captain, of the commissar captain, Shadrick. Like, how far does his authority go now? Because before I was discussing about the saint and an inquisitor, but now we have this situation where the commissar captain is initiating, this clause within the Minotaurium rules handbook. I'm not entirely sure which one it is. I haven't read that one yet. But, now he is assuming direct control and authority over all the forces present in inside that place, inside that vault. So I'm not entirely sure where to stand here. There's conflict of leadership, structures, and interests in this entire situation. I don't know. I'm confused. if I was a Cadian soldier, I wouldn't know where to stand. Honestly, I just wouldn't know where to stand. You have the Saint, you have the Commissar Captain, you have the Inquisitor, you have the Canonist Superior. All of these powerful institutions of faith and military conduct are all telling you that I have the ultimate authority. I have the final word. Oh, it's a mess.
Stern could only blink in surprise as the order was issued, his reaction aped by most of the Cadian forces, some of whom even chuckled at the very notion, and none of whom moved to comply with the ineffectual order.
Okay, so the Cadians have made themselves clear that they're not following the Commissar Captain, okay?
But the men of Krieg were not laughing. As one, they turned, guns swinging away from the Commissar, and aimed straight up and into the Cadian forces they flanked.
Yeah, they are loyal to the Imperium of Man. They are loyal to the rules and the military conduct that binds them. So yeah, what I'm quite surprised about is why did they continue to follow Saint Lazarus until this very moment, when the Commissar Captain has now initiated these clauses within, the Imperial Creed. Why do they only start to obey it now? Why didn't they obey the Commissar Captain before? What was wrong with before? But they decide to follow his order right now. But anyways.
Stern balked, particularly when he felt the barrel of a hot-shot pistol press into the back of his head. "Please surrender, Captain," said the cool, even voice of 1313.
Damn, 1313, you're gonna backstab us like this? You're gonna backstab those that you've been fighting with like this? Oi. Yeah. But you're a good soldier. Good soldiers follow orders.
"I am not permitted to give you a second warning," the young soldier warned. The Cadians spun to face the Kriegers, and 1313 found his own head the focus of a long lass aimed directly into his ear, held by a scowling, trembling Emiliana. Though he did not turn to look at her, he knew she was not shaking in fear, but in raw rage, born of bewildered betrayal. 13, what are you doing?
He's following orders.
He hissed angrily. "Following orders," he said in a flat voice. "His orders? Why?" She insisted, and 1313 gave her the suggestion of a shrug in response, his eyes locked forward. "Because, like the captain already said, the Commissar outranks him, and the Inquisition outranks us all. There is no other choice."
No. You have to wait for proof, 1313. You can't believe in lies, although it's not a lie. But you need confirmation that it actually comes from an Inquisitor. You need that confirmation, instead of just following the orders of someone who might be desperate. So you need confirmation that it comes from an Inquisitor. Then you can switch sides and say, yes, I'm following the word of the Emperor, by the words of the Inquisition, or the orders of the Inquisition. And that you have proof, that you can back it up, that yes, this is an order from an Inquisitor. But you don't have any of that. All you're going on is hearsay from a Commissar that has been disgraced, that has been, excommunicated, I should say, by the Canonist Superior.
He explained as though it should have been obvious. "And besides, Emiliana," he continued, still not turning to look at her, still holding his gun to the back of Stern's head, "I am of Krieg, and where I come from, we follow orders. We always follow orders."
Wow, what an episode. What an episode. Guys, yeah, that is Star Wars vs. Warhammer 40K episode 41, Mortal Precipices part 3, made on the AFanWithTooMuchTime YouTube channel. Wow. Okay, let's start with Samuel and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Mace Windu. Yeah, they are fighting. Samuel is trying by all means to survive, with this deadly duo of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Mace Windu. Like I said, individually, Mace Windu is very dangerous. Obi-Wan Kenobi is very dangerous. But when they are together, you just don't want to be there. You just don't want to be there fighting against them. And yeah, Samuel is trying his best to survive their onslaught. But now it seems like there is a plan afoot by Samuel after he shot up a flare gun. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. It sounds ominous, whatever's going to be happening. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And then also about Samuel, I didn't know that he was a psyker. Or maybe I did, but I just forgot. Yeah, I can't remember any time where AFanWithTooMuchTime was discussing that, or should I say narrating that Samuel is a psyker. I don't remember. Because he is a mysterious man and, we rarely know anything about him. Yes, he appears here and there, but now, as he's fighting against these Jedi, we get to see the full extent of his powers, how far he goes, and what abilities he has, and all of that is being laid on the table for us to see. And yeah, it is a surprise for me to hear that he is a psyker. And yeah, good luck to him. I don't want him to die. I don't want Samuel to die. He has a mission to complete. He has a mission to complete. He has to kill Javona. He has to kill her. And now we're dealing with Jonathan Shadrach. The conflict of authority, I should say. The conflict of authority, the confusion of authority in this entire situation is entertaining. Really, it is entertaining. The fact that the Guardsmen are following the orders of the Saint Lazarus, who has the authority vested in him by the Canonist Superior. And then on the other side, you have Shadrach, a commissar captain, who has the orders and the power, or should I say the authority, from an Inquisitor, Tarweiler, to initiate the Exterminatus on Axum. And now you have these two opposing authorities or opposing powers within the Imperium of Man who are, I wouldn't necessarily, okay, yes, they are debating, who has the last word in this entire debacle. Who has the last word? And like I said, if I was a Guardsman in that entire situation, I would be so confused. I would be so confused. Who do I listen to? Because here you have the Commissar Captain saying that he has the orders from an Inquisitor that he has to initiate Exterminatus. And then on the other side, you have Saint Lazarus, who has the authority vested in him by the Canonist Superior, to arrest and apprehend the Commissar Captain. The Commissar Captain has been shunned by the Canonist Superior, or excommunicated by the Canonist Superior. And whatever he says, it really doesn't hold weight because he has been disgraced as a Commissar Captain. I don't know if the Canonist Superior has the authority to strip a Captain General of, not Captain General, but Commissar Captain of his authority or his rank as a Commissar. I'm not sure if a Canonist Superior has that type of power. But, he has been excommunicated from the Basilica. So, really, it's a mess. It's a debacle of, bureaucracy, military bureaucracy, that we just don't know where to stand on. But like I've said before, Shadrach is in the right. He is in the right. The Inquisitor has the last word in all of this. He does have the last word in all of this. Tarweiler, he does have the last word in this entire situation. So I cannot fault Shadrach, you know. But like I said, Captain Stern has to request for proof that it does come from Inquisitor. If Shadrach cannot provide that proof, we should not believe him. If an Inquisitor is not before us, ordering the Guardsmen to lower down their weapons and to do as he's commanded them to do, then there's no point in us following the words of the Commissar Captain. Because he's been disgraced, he has been excommunicated by the Canonist Superior, he is superior. So he has to provide the proof. Shadrach has to provide the proof. But now we have the Krieger soldiers who have brought it upon themselves to believe the words of a disgraced Commissar Captain. To believe the words of a Commissar Captain that's been excommunicated by the Canonist Superior. So it's a mess. It's a mess. And 1313, I'm a bit disappointed, but I'm also not surprised. You are a Krieger, like you said, and you are loyal to the Imperium of Man. You are loyal to the structures and the orders of the Imperium of Man, and you will not defy them. However, you still need to request for proof that it comes directly from an Inquisitor and not just accept hearsay. Alright, that's it. That is it. Thank you again to AFanWithTooMuchTime for such entertaining content. Remember, guys, I'm going to be continuing with episode 41, Mortal Precipices Part 4 next. Yeah, that will be coming next right now. So you'll probably see the card at the top right, somewhere around here. Yeah. Also, if you want to check out the original video as well as AFanWithTooMuchTime's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. And yeah, I'll see you in part 4 next. Okay, bye-bye.